Okay, can I start? Good afternoon to all of you, and many thanks to our organizer, OIDA, and also the host country partner, where you belong to a university, Vietnam. And also I'd like to thank my university and the Honorable Vice Chancellor, and also the Dean of the Faculty of Law, Samabula Campus, University of Fiji, Shobha. With that, I'm going to start my presentation, and this is my first presentation. This is on my prospects and challenges of the labor laws in Fiji and empirical study. So, on behalf of my team, I am Professor Dr. Noor Mohammad is presenting this paper. So, this is my content of my paper. This is, we have the abstract, introduction, background, problem statement, literature review, discussion and result, empirical result, research questions and hypotheses, objectives, methodology, recommendations, conclusion, acknowledgement, and references. This is all about the content of a paper and the presentation. And now I'm going to discuss the abstract. Fiji has a variety of employment laws and regulations in place to protect employees. Labor laws in Fiji are primarily governed by the Employment Relations Act 2007, which enforces 8 core ILO conventions promoting fair, safe, and equitable working conditions under the guidelines of the Constitution in Fiji. National minimum wage is increasing to 5.5 Fiji dollar per hour as of 1st of April 2025, with specific wage regulations for various sectors. There are some key rules that include strict anti-discrimination, judicial and administrative role, mandatory 30-minute breaks for every 4 hours, and specific overtime compensation. It is reported that the employment laws in Fiji faces challenges with enforcement, widespread non-compliance regarding minimum wage and disputes over proposed stricter punitive reforms. Many rights are also being frequently infringed directly or indirectly. Still, the government of Fiji has been trying to modernize the labor laws and policies under the guidelines of their constitution as well as the ILO conventions. Anti-discrimination law also play a vital role by protecting workers from unequal treatment based on characteristics such as gender, race, or disability. As a result, many vulnerable workers, especially in gig or informal sectors, remain outside the protective framework. Unfair dismissal laws are designed to protect employees from arbitrary termination, recognizing that job loss can have severe economic and social consequences. The redundancy is also protected under the laws of Fiji, and the employers must be fair, objective, and non-discriminatory criteria to be selected employees for redundancy. Procedural fairness for dismissal is also observed. There are also key issues that include over $12 million so far in unpaid wage claims, failure to provide employment contracts, and slow action on unfair termination, particularly in the security and retail sectors. But it is essential to implement and enforce the labor laws at the national and international levels for the services of the mankind. The study, however, examines the present state of labor laws as applied in Fiji, consisting of 25 respondents in the different criteria such as professors, industry people, owner of the companies, workers of the industries and companies, common people, students, law enforcement agencies, etc., based on the primary and secondary sources in SOVA, Fiji. And I have some keywords such as labor laws, challenges, prospects, national labor laws, international labor laws in Fiji. Now, I'm going to discuss from introduction. Labor rights are fundamental to a fair, just, and industrial human system and the working population. Equally important to the economic aspect are the human rights, connections among the social labor force. It is a kind of divine rights from the perspective of the religion at large. These are consisted of dignity, of social recognition, individual freedom, and partake of human development. Labor rights are required for the steadiness of economic growth and social justice to remain intact, particularly looking at the countries like Fiji with a large and heterogeneous population that directly bases daily living on wage-rated jobs. It should be noted that labor rights are regulated by laws, and the right to a fair contract, safe working condition, fair treatment, and the right to join unions and the mechanism for lodging complaints are the core elements of them. The Constitution of Fiji has mentioned the labor rights in this Article 20 of the Constitution under the Employment Relations heading as follows. The labor law framework in Fiji has been greatly influenced by their constitution. The vision of providing social justice, equality, and dignity to labor that is enshrined in its article has been a guiding force behind many legislative interventions. These laws are intended not only to protect workers' rights, but also to provide for industrial peace and economic efficiency. There are some provisions we're going to discuss later on. Now, I'm going to discuss about background of this study. The history of labor laws around the world is not built in a day, like Rome was not built in a day, and its philosophy is quite great and humanistic. In Fiji, it is not an exception to it. It has been developing due to creation of numerous national and international organizations focusing on the role of ILO as follows. The Treaty of Versailles, for example, contained in Part 1 of the Covenant of the League of Nations and Part 13 of the Constitution of the International Labour Organization. The term supranational is of recent origin and is used to describe the type of treaty structure developed originally by 6 Western European states: France, Germany, Italy, the Netherlands, Belgium, and Luxembourg. So I'm now going to discuss a bit about the problem statement. In Fiji, there are some questions raised relating to the enforcement and implementation of the Employment Relations Act 2007. Enforcement of labor laws, meaning to Employment Relations Act, is one of the significant challenges in Fiji, marked by over $12 million wage claims, particularly in the security and retail sectors, and non-discrimination with minimum wage, overtime, and leave entitlements. Some key problems as published, including limited monitoring capacity for nearly 3,000 employers, alleged corruption, and slow dispute resolution. There are also some other core problems with the existing employment laws in Fiji as follows. Non-compliance, and also there are widespread basis regarding non-payment of statutory leave and overtime. Weak implementation of existing law, the Ministry of Employment often acts slowly to resolve disputes, and the enforcement of current labor laws is also insignificant, leaving workers in the informal sector without proper protection, such as social security, medical benefits, or fair compensation. So and now I'm going to discuss a bit on the literacy review. There are some national international labor laws being implemented in the country for protecting the rights of the employees and the employers founded in the spirit of the Constitution. There are some aims and objectives of this act, such as promoting economic development, social justice, building labor peace and happiness, workplace democracy, regulating organizational rights of trade unions and employers' organizations, facilitating collective bargaining at both workplace and sectoral levels. Some of the labor laws are given below. So I'm not going to discuss a lot on this paper. So now I'm going to discuss one thing. This Philadelphia Declaration reaffirmed in particular that labor is not a commodity. This is very important point actually, raised by ILO. And this and also the non-discrimination, the rules actually need to follow. We have actually, and also we have international conventions. Many we have. The government Fiji is doing on all these things to make a fair and equitable employment relations in Fiji. And also core employment or labor law principles, we have many core principles and the employment labor laws principles we have. And so far, the government of Fiji is also going to implement all these principles as well. And discussion result, actually, we have some important points from the Constitution. The Constitution, there are some key guidelines outlined in the Constitution of Fiji with regard to the safeguarding the employment relations in the country, which is quite excellent as compared to other countries in the world, because the rights of the employers and the employees is quite written in the Constitution, and they need to follow actually everyone of this country. So in that light, we have some law still we have, and also some points maybe I can just mention a bit. Every person has a right to fair employment practices, including human treatment and proper working conditions. Every worker has a right to form or join a trade union and participate in its activities and programs. Every employer has the right to form or join an employer organizations and to participate in its activities and programs. The trade unions and the employers have the right to bargain collectively. So this is a very important article from the Constitution, safeguarding the worker rights and the employees' rights as well. And also the access to court we have, the right employers and the employees also, they have the right actually to have access to court or tribunals if they are charged actually. So this is also very important things for getting access to justice from Fiji. And also in Fiji, the Employment Relations Act 2007, along with other related policies, is being implemented for a long time as per the guidelines of the Constitution. It has amended several times as of today. It also covers most of the important provisions of the ILO conventions. This act sets out fundamental principles and the general rules of the employees and the employers in this country, covering the prohibition or forced labor and also the worst forms of child labor, the right to non-discrimination, freedom from harassment, and also equal opportunity in employment, equal pay for equal work, and freedom of association, and employment relations advisory board, and an expert group comprising representatives of the government, employers, and the workers. The minister on a range of matters related to employment policy and law. So this is a very important policy actually the government of Fiji is implementing. And also the one that issue also the Human Rights Commission in Fiji is working on this issue. And also we have some other important act, the Health and Safety at Work 1996 and also amended in 2002-2003. And the judiciary in Fiji is quite active in adjudicating justice to the people concerned. And also we have some case losses. The case losses are doing a lot of case loss. In Fiji, actually, they have the High Court, the Administrative Tribunal, the Employment Tribunal, and also Employment Court, and also um, the uh, and the other court actually we have. This is so this court actually is quite active in Fiji. So some case laws still we have. So I'm not going to discuss all this case law from here because due to time constraint. So we have some empirical result actually we have. There are some issue actually. A group of people and students from the School of Law, University Fiji, have expressed their concern as follows. Yes, sometimes the sexual harassment at workplace, working long hours and receive less pay, gender discrimination, racism, nepotism, unethical conduct and lack of transparency, outdated technology, no proper enforcement of labor laws, language and cultural misunderstanding among staff, low paid staff, lack of morals and motivation, more poor time management issue. Actually, a lot of things actually discussed at the field. And also others, stakeholder, other students, and participants also discuss a lot of things because I'm not going to discuss all these things now. And also, I have actually some specific objectives such as to identify constraints and potentialities of the labor laws in Fiji, to identify socio-cultural barriers towards the implementation of the labor laws in Fiji, to suggest possible measures for addressing the above issues and problems in Fiji actually. So methodology actually we have the studies based on primary and secondary sources. The primary sources include the relevant Fiji labor laws as applied in Fiji, interviews methods with structured and unstructured questions were provided. Focus group discussion is also made. Constitutional provisions will be examined. Relevant case laws are also discussed. And also the relevant secondary sources like articles, book chapter, etc. are also investigated. The study also, however, examined the present state of labor laws applied in Fiji, consisting of 25 respondents in different criteria, such as professors, industry people, or owner of the companies, workers of the industries and companies, common law, student, enforcing agency based on primary and secondary sources. In so actually this was done. Methodology done also. Recommendations already. There are some important recommendations we have. In Fiji, there are some important labor laws that face challenges in executing it consistently. Informal employment rates combined with inadequate labor inspections and lengthy dispute resolutions processes everywhere severely undermine those laws' effectiveness. Trade unions and labor activities express concern that the latest reform aims to diminish worker protections to promote business interest. The Constitution foundational principles serve as guiding beacons that influence both judicial rulings and policy alterations, focusing on the principles of justice, equity, and human dignity. The domestic law and the ILO laws are found in in service rules in the different respective organizations in Fiji, which need to be implemented properly at all levels, delivering national and international laws for the services of mankind. All workplace health and safety incident to be properly recorded in a register dealing the type of incident, injury, people affected, time or places, and actions taken. All workers, irrespective of contract, being full-time, part-time, temporary, or casual, to be covered by the insurance against occupational hazards, including ability to access medical care. The recommendations as outlined in this paper is quite important to be implemented properly, immediately with active enforcement of the concerned ministries and also Department for Sustainable Growth, Economic Growth of the country. We should always remember that ILO is awarded Nobel Peace Prize in 1969 due to its noble work for the community around the world. So every government in the world must follow their guidelines so far as well. So acknowledgement, we'd like to express our gratitude to the all relevant stakeholders for assisting their work at the School of Law, University of Fiji, Samabula campus, Soha. And also we have some references. Still, this paper actually I'm working on this issue. I try to make this paper as short as possible.